Welcome to Industry 4.0.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Industry 4.0. This is episode 28, and I am joined today happily by a full show. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing?
I'm going great.
I've never gone better, Matthew.
I get too excited and I mess up my words. It's been one of those days. But aside from that, we have a lot of stuff for today's show. We're going into a little bit of news about the FCC, some stuff about the HomePod, DJI, and then going into some news about Uber and Tesla and some things about batteries. So looks like we have a jam-packed episode for today. But just to kind of jump into the first one, and I know we've talked about this dozens of times, but we have some more news about the FCC, and it's looking like Ajit isn't thankful for very much of the current state of the internet, because he's going to be dropping some new regulations around, actually it's the day before Thanksgiving is what the plan is, planned date is. Does anybody want to lead into this topic, and anybody want to talk about it? I know it can be polarizing to discuss the FCC, but it's something that we have to talk about. So everybody else jump out at once.
Wow.
Well, I can go into it a little bit. So starting with the open meeting, the agency is going to be poised to approve or propose decisions that will deregulate consolidated industries. So basically, over-the-air broadcasting, like going into media ownership, it's going to be something that they're going to be stripping away. So they're going to start a vote with public content on the reformed Lifeline, which is a program that provides a small subsidy so that low-income Americans can afford broadband service. So it's looking like it's going to be a lot harder for Americans with meeting the lower wage bracket to get access to broadband internet, which I'm very against. I think that this is something that is basically a denial of information for people. The internet is an open service that I think, like we've talked about it before, like if you lose your internet, some people are out of a job, like they need the internet to work. So secondly, he's going to eliminate the mechanism that encourages it. So this is going to kind of drive the prices up on these broadband plans for everybody. So it's going to make the market a lot more expensive for the consumer. And it's a very anti-consumer decision, which is something else that is also not good. And this is a sign of the administration. And Ajit has been notorious for having these types of opinions, but it's something that we as constituents can say something about. So contacting your local congressman, because either way, this does have to go through Congress when proposed by Ajit, so it can still get blocked. And it just brings into ties everything we've talked about with net neutrality. And I know, Ryan, you're passionate about net neutrality and open internet and keeping everything free and available to the masses. And I think this is something that is once again a threat to that. So
yeah, when they broke up the Bell monopolies, like way back in the day, that was the original reasons they started bringing in regulations like this and had the FCC, begin in the first place. And now it's get this guy Ajit, he's just going to tear it all to pieces and go, well, we want to bring back the monopolies essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at the end of the day, that's what it's becoming. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's talks of Disney taking over Fox in the works, like a big merger, and they're gonna play it up like, oh, well, we're gonna combine all the Marvel Universe characters into one universe. Finally, everybody's like, oh yeah, we get to go see the movie with the X-Men and Spider-Man in the same movie and everything. But on the back end, Disney will control most of television.
Right.
It's scary. They're opening the door for all these monopolies just to come in and take over.
Right. I learned a couple of years ago that Disney actually owned ESPN, of all things. I had no idea
NBC.
until a couple of years ago that they owned ESPN. But like, it's one thing, and I understand the more conservative viewpoint of the internet shouldn't be something that's regulated by the federal government. But when these policies simultaneously make it easier for the established companies to stay established and harder for smaller companies to become established and to become stable enough to compete with these companies, then you could argue that it's kind of a catch-22 in that, where you do need policy in order to kind of open this market up to other broadband companies. And as a result, people are going to see prices go up because they're deregulating this policy that's been long-standing and has prevented this from happening. So, I mean, we could talk about it all day, but it's something that is important, and it's something that I think needs to be done.
Just a note here on kind of what you're getting at with the merging of companies. An example would be this merger of Sinclair Broadcast Group and Tribune Media.
Right.
So I'm just looking at some stuff here. It's looking like it would give the company Sinclair, which is Baltimore-based, a total of 223 TV stations serving 108 markets, which would be 39 of 50 of the local channels, and it covers about 72% of U.S. households. So,
yeah, then John Oliver did a segment on Sinclair Media,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where it shows that it's all paid for, pre-written news segments, right? And then each local station just like has to run certain news items just because it's they're owned by Sinclair declares that, yeah, you have to run this since we own you, and then they own a significant amount. If this rule passes, then those two big ones, Sinclair and what was the other one, can merge.
Tribune.
Tribune can merge together, right? And they'll have more power. So that way, in a way, once those two merge, they could control what news gets presented to on these two people on these local channels, right? They can mandate that every single channel that they own, and every single local affiliate that they own has to run this story, and whatever story that might be could sway, right, the opinions of people in that area, and that in a way is controlling what news goes out and spreading a message that you think should be spread.
Well,
Yeah, and it's
freedom from those local stations to pick whatever stories they want to talk about.
yeah. I mean, like you said, it's just limiting the knowledge base of the consumer, and it's the entire population for that matter. I mean, you take it, we talked on a lot of times about how we think that broadcast is on its way down and internet's the way of the future, but there is still a huge majority of the population that gets their information from watching television, listening to radio, etc., who aren't as into the internet as, things may go there eventually, but they're not there yet.
Right.
And if you take that message and narrow it and make it one-dimensional and it's delivered across every single medium that you have, instead of having these different opinions, that's where you get a one-track minded nation. I mean, it's kind of just it seems extreme on the surface, but you're dumbing down America by doing something like this, all for the sake of money in your pocket.
Exactly.
Right.
And on top of that, with the internet in general, you get some mom and pop shops trying to show up on the internet, or say somebody comes up with a really ingenuitive new idea. They come out there with their small business, or they're trying to expand. And one of these big guys comes in and is like, I like your idea. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to sue the hell out of you if you want to, go somewhere with it. Because now not only do we control your access to the internet and access to selling your goods, basically most things are sold through the internet these days. We're going to control your access. We're going to limit it. And then we could steal your idea potentially and just do it better. Right.
And I'm actually reading the Open Commission meeting from the 16th of November, and the reconsideration of broadcast ownership rules is just one of probably 8 or 9 points that they had brought up. And one of these points was blocking unlawful robocalls, which it's a good thing that's being discussed. But my point that I'm going to make is that this is probably all going to be bundled into one law when it's proposed. And you're going to see the surface level. Oh my God, look, they're going to pass this law for blocking robocalls, when under the surface, they're completely stripping the rights of broadcast ownership and making life harder for smaller companies and for the consumer as we know it. And the fact that it's bundled in with blocking robocalls, that's going to get the articles.
And guess what, Matt?
What?
The places you're going to hear about it are news outlets, which are owned by companies and people who back the passing of this. So there you go. You already have it in the works, and it's just going to get worse.
So if you look at Ajit Pai himself, he was a lobbyist for Verizon before he became the FCC chairman. So
that was true about Tom Wheeler too, right? And then he kind of fully 180'd. Yeah. But I mean, like, Ajit Pai is just the evil villain that we all expected.
This guy's he's only 44 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's for some reason that's fishy. That's
fool you.
That's fishy to me. I don't know how you get to that position of power at 44.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you guys haven't seen the show The Newsroom on HBO, that is for real life going to happen if all these things continue to go in this direction, where all of a sudden just people are going to be like, you know what, we're tired of sending your message. We're going to send our own message. It's going to go viral, and they're going to get shut down and like sued and all this crazy amount of stuff because people are going to get tired of it. There's people who get into this business to inform people, especially producers, especially lead anchors on national news. A lot of times it's not about, it's partly about ego, obviously, but part of it is about like, I know how to deliver the news. I know how to give it to these people the way that it should be heard. And I'm going to do that. And when you have, obviously there's so many companies pushing their own agendas, and you're going to be part of that. There's not a whole lot of what you would call neutral news outlets. But in that show, they really had a moment where they decided we're going to go against the grain and do what we want to do and do our show the way we're going to, even if the ratings aren't there, because we feel like this is the thing that we're supposed to do as responsible journalists, responsible news gatherers and providers. And you could see that. It would be more likely that something like that would happen on the internet, and it doesn't have as much of a chance to go viral. But imagine all of a sudden you tune in one day and it's just boom, 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 boom. They're giving you everything straight until someone pulls the plug. That's going to make an impact. And that's really the only way to slow stuff like this down is for more people to step outside of the box and to take risks and to not listen. They could go with the next guy up mentality, but if enough people push back, that's the only way something's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. kind of, doing just a quick lightening of the mood transition here. You noted that's coming up right before Thanksgiving. The draft of the order is coming out on the day before Thanksgiving, which is when people eat turkey. And Amazon now, with the acquiring of Whole Foods, is kicking off a rewards program with Whole Foods. So if you're interested in getting some organic turkey from Whole Foods, you can get a 50-cent discount with a Prime membership. So this is kind of like the first rollout of that, the benefits of that merger for Prime customers and people who coincidentally shop at Whole Foods. Other foods involved in that too. So this is an interesting direction. Now we're going to see what they're really going to do with this changing the landscape of the grocery store kind of market.
Yeah, because they initially, when Amazon first bought Whole Foods, they went through a whole reducing of the price of certain items. And now they're offering specifically that was for everyone, that reduction in the price of certain food items. But now they're specifically going after Prime members that they now get cheap turkey at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Interesting. So now Amazon just keeps piling on extra stuff to that. What is it now? $99 a year Prime service.
What are their margins on that?
I don't think they care, honestly. I don't think they care because they figure that since you have Prime, you're just going to buy so much stuff on Amazon that they're going to make it back on. And And Amazon has never been about margins. They're one of the companies with the lowest margins in the industry. Like it's crazy how low, because they reinvest all the money that they make every quarter back into the business. So the profits always look low, but they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah, look at that company.
A lot of those profits come from Amazon Web Service too.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazon Web Service, I should say.
Right.
Yeah. Web services.
And I mean, it seems like simple math, but the more diverse items you sell, the less. I mean, you can take less of a margin on a lot of things. You can undercut a lot of people that way. I mean, it's obvious to us, but it's something you don't even think about if you're not in that realm or not thinking about it. Where, they sell everything imaginable. They can take a loss on a turkey for a couple months. Like, it's not that big a deal to them.
Yeah, especially when their biggest competition's Walmart, who's notorious for doing that to other businesses. So they're just kind of giving them a taste of their own medicine.
Pretty much.
You guys,
Taste of their own turkey.
yeah. Do you think that something like this will incentivize people to sign up for Prime who aren't already signed up?
I mean, that's
Because like, hey, if you sign up for Prime, you get extra discounts in the store that you're probably already shopping at, and then you also get free 2-day shipping on everything in Amazon and on video and unlimited photo storage and Amazon Music.
Can I say, as a current Prime user, I have access to all that stuff, and I'd never care. It's always about like, can I get the 2-day shipping? Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sitting here with the Twitch Prime membership. I haven't yet to redeem a single thing from the Prime benefits.
I've not opened Amazon Music once.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the interface looks like.
But yeah, the music, I'd never open.
I don't know though.
The extent of it was Man in the High Castle. That was the extent of my Amazon.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. I watched a couple of things on Amazon Video, but that's about it. I focus on the shipping as well.
I think that if you tell people though, like, I don't know, maybe you're not in love with your local grocery store, or you see that turkey's 50 cents off a pound and you're getting a 10-pound turkey. You're like, it's $5. Like, I figure I could save a ton in a year for paying $100. Why not do it? Especially if you don't have Netflix or something already and you need a video streaming service. I don't know. That's pretty decent, especially for. I'm thinking of a little bit older age group in general, maybe that's not so like up to speed on streaming as maybe our generation is. I could see things like that going a long way with that group there. And the shipping and buying through Amazon itself too is a wormhole, as we all know.
Yeah, this already, every time Amazon announces something with Whole Foods, some kind of deal, all the competitors' stock prices take a dip. It's definitely hurting their Whole Foods' competitors. So as soon as Amazon announced this deal, the stock price of Kroger, Target, Costco, and Walmart all dipped right after the fact. So they're definitely, even the stock market is definitely feeling. They're worried what could be the potential of this even further down the line. I think Amazon just right now is just playing around slowly and to see what they could probably do. But I think they're waiting to launch something big.
And there's also while you're at Whole Foods shopping for your groceries, you can take a look at the list and you'll see looking for your Applegate hot dogs, and then you're like, oh wow, Apple, whatever happened to that HomePod? And then you're like, oh, it's delayed. Oh no. Oh no. So the HomePod has been delayed until 2018. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. I saw that and I just had to go for it.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but you do you, Matt.
It's been delayed until 2018. So
yeah,
they said it was going to be December, I thought was the initial announcement, but
so in June they had WWDC, which they announced that they're going to release this speaker in December of this year, and then Apple just announced that they're going to delay it to 2018. They're going to miss the big holiday shopping season, which I think could be huge. But I know that Apple would rather take a hit and not get the rush of the holiday shopping season and get it right, or whatever reason that they're delaying software, hardware, whatever it is that they're trying to figure out. Yeah, I think they're just working to make that product worth
I wonder.
$50, right? To make it good.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Imagine any of these companies like Amazon or Google as well, like releasing their that smart speaker device for the first time right before the holiday rush or during it. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's a nail biter and a half. Like I wouldn't want to do that either. And like you said, Irv, if they're not ready for whatever reason, it is smart to wait. Although obviously they're gonna be missing out on a lot of business, and a lot of people are gonna be getting Echoes and Google Homes as a result, I would think, instead.
Especially if the Google Home Max comes out when it's slated to, which is before the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
Google's going to potentially beat Apple to the market with the first high-end assistant-enabled speaker. So
It's more expensive, which I never thought that an Google product would be more expensive than an Apple product, but
right.
it is.
But if it's as good as they're showing
Yeah.
it from the early demos, then that combined with the assistant can just blow this out of the water.
It definitely could. Plus, it has a more open ecosystem. So with the HomePod, you can only play Apple Music. So if you don't use Apple Music, you're like, okay, what music do I listen to on this?
Right. And also, like, at that point, what's another $50 for if you're in this price bracket for a speaker? What's another $50 to get a huge advantage with the Home Max?
Right. Exactly.
They're like multiple streaming services. You can it does the smart home stuff, and then Google Assistant is miles ahead of anything that Siri can do. So that's a fact. That's not me talking as a Google fanboy. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. Google is way better than Siri.
I wonder, it's going to be an expensive holiday season even without Apple releasing their HomePod on time.
Oh yeah.
So, but
Another,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna transition, but
One of you go.
I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's nice to see a company take the time to get it right. Like you said, this is a huge miss not getting out before the holiday, a huge missed opportunity. But like we've learned from things in the past, I mean, even the small things that happen with the Pixel, when you rush to get to market to meet that date, to satisfy the investors and the date and the marketing and all that stuff, you can run into issues, even if they're minor. Some obviously, like Xbox 360, we saw in the past, huge major issues. When you are rushing tech and it's not right and you have to put out online updates, people are mad. Yeah. You get a bad taste in your mouth for that product and you start to sour on that branding. And one of their biggest things is, hey, we do it right. It might be more expensive and it might be just shiny and gray, but we do it right. And they're going to continue that trend and miss out on a huge opportunity, which I actually applaud them for, because they could have easily done it, put it out in whatever shape it's in, gotten a ton of holiday sales. You wouldn't even find out about the issues until early 2018, because they would probably be Christmas gifts on most accounts. And they decided to forego all the headaches and make sure they had it right. I mean, again, I talked about it 2 weeks ago. It's a good move by a business instead of the money grab. It's a smart move.
Right. I think that's why they delayed the AirPods too when they were supposed to launch. And when it finally shipped, people were like, when are you going to release them? When are you going to release them? When they finally shipped, people raved about them, and it seems like they got those right. Everybody, not everybody, but most people love their AirPods. Another thing that Apple announced back in June was the iMac Pro, and a piece of news came out this week on 9to5 Mac that certain people were poking around, digging through some information, and they found hints that the new iMac Pro, which is supposed to be the most powerful Mac ever made, is supposed to have a A10 Fusion chip in it. And the A10 Fusion chip is what was used a couple generations back in the iPad. So there's certain people are speculating what could that be used for. I know there's been a lot of talks or rumors of perhaps Apple eventually transitioning away from Intel in their laptops, because if you look at the benchmarks that the latest iMac Pro, or iPad Pro are putting out, they're in a lot of cases faster than an entry-level MacBook Pro running an Intel i5 processor, which is kind of crazy. So their first initial guess or looking at hints is it might be used for Hey Siri detection trigger on the Mac itself. So you just say Hey Siri and launch Siri and ask her questions. But we don't know for sure if it's actually going to be in the actual iMac or what else it could possibly be used for. Because the A10 Fusion is pretty powerful chip. So much. I don't know if anyone else has any others.
Well, one thing that stuck out to me just now, not even 100% on topic, sorry ahead of time, but what you just said, where it seems like they might be transitioning away from Intel for whatever reason. When you said transition, it triggered something in a commercial that I heard for an iPad earlier, where a kid's playing on the iPad and a parent says, "Oh," or a relative says, "Oh, that's such a cool laptop you have," and the kid goes, "Oh, what's a laptop?" And I was like, maybe they're transitioning away from, like, why on earth would they do that? But why would they transition away from the MacBook? And then you said that they're using stuff that they use in the iPads in the MacBook, potentially transitioning from something. It made me think of that right away. That's not something that they would ever do, right? Like, you think that they would? Do you think they're in a rush to get away from the traditional MacBook, and they're just going to, kind of do like the hybrid, like with the iPad?
I don't know if they want to ditch the entire laptop market, but they are looking to see if they can put more power efficient chips in there. And Intel has been working hard to get more power efficient chips in there to get better battery life while also maintaining performance, but they're nothing as close as ARM chips can do. That are in iPhones and the iMac or iPads.
Right. In this article,
I'm getting confused.
in this article, there's actually some pretty good quotes from. They reference several tweets that are potential ideas for what this could be, and they were saying, some people are saying that it looks like it could be kind of blended in with the security processes and with the boot of the OS. It could be maybe used as like a cache or something to boot faster. That's just kind of me expanding on that.
Yeah, it has 512 megabytes of RAM on its own, dedicated.
Right. Yeah. So that being said, also, this other tweet towards the bottom by Steve Troughton Smith, he was saying the A10 and the iMac might always be running even when Mac OS is shut down. So it could be a passive listening device or something along those lines.
Ooh, interesting.
That's it's fun.
there's a lot of things you could do with an ARM chip embedded into a CPU like that, depending on where you want to use it.
And even more, since it's not a portable device, it's always plugged in. It's a desktop computer,
right?
So you can have it running 24/7. Even if you do, it's not going to pull that much power. So most people won't even notice that.
Hopefully, they don't use it to DRM their computers even further, and have any kind of tighter lock on their hardware.
Yeah, so
because they're already hard enough to repair as it is.
Not even facial recognition.
Well, these guys, they provided some informative tweets. It seems like they're pretty smart guys, at least virtually. What do you guys think they're like outside of Twitter? You think they're the same kind of guys?
Enough to get their verification removed?
I don't know. Well, that's the recent story here, is that Twitter's starting to judge its users on and off the field, so to speak. It's looking like this stems down to looking at some risque Twitter accounts, maybe even a recreated Twitter account. It's noted here in this article that it's actually about a white supremacist named Jason Kessler, who had his account verified last week, and he deleted his previous account, which had offensive comments on it, which broke Twitter's rules. Now he has a new account It doesn't seem like he's actually breaking Twitter's rules. However, because he's organizing a hate march, Twitter is unverifying his account for this reason. So it looks like Twitter is going to be kind of assessing their users and their handles, not only for how they behave when using Twitter, but also what kind of lives they lead and what kind of social influence they have. This is definitely an important story. What do you guys think?
Trying to crack down on some bad hombres.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it's kind of an overstep.
I think
Of
like
Twitter.
initial reason why Twitter came out with the verified flag is to verify that yes, that's the real person
Yeah.
actually talking. It's irrelevant of what they say. It's just, yep, if this person is tweeting this, then if you see the check mark or whatever it is next to their name, then you know, yep, it's not a fake account,
But
it's not a parody account. It's actually that person saying it.
but hang
But
on.
now Twitter's going on further than that and judging or deciding who. I don't know.
Well, hang on. So Ervin, you tweet. Do you have a verified thing next to your account name?
No, but why would I?
Well, you're the
I-
real Ervin. The
What?
reason you don't have it is because you're not like a public figure, right?
Right.
So that's kind of, I think, where they're going with this is, you know, when you go to add people on Facebook, on Twitter, if you're looking for maybe someone of interest to follow or someone who already has a lot of followers, you're going to look for the check mark to see famous people. I think that's what a lot of people are drawn to follow. So I think maybe that's what this is about more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, I kind of agree with Ervin, and my second point was going to be I don't see how removing verification detracts from their ability to use the social media service as it is. Like, I'm not sure what it does to, aside from making it harder to prove that it's actually that person. I don't know what they're accomplishing by it. I find it's like really weird that they're doing it.
Yeah, it seems like almost like they're trying to classify personality types.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, like, we're using machine learning to see what they write all the time, and they're like, all right, we're going to base their personality type off of this. It's not as much verification. Like, how hard is it? What do they currently do to verify? I'm not aware. Unfortunately, I'm not a big Twitter buff.
So I tried it. You have to submit some kind of a bunch of personally identifiable information and like 4 or 5 different links to things that empirically prove you are who you are.
Okay.
So like I tried it with like my Facebook, my website, stuff like that, and I didn't get approved. I think it's just because I'm not a public figure is why I wasn't approved. But
Right.
you have to like submit multiple sources of evidence on who you are. Or sometimes if you reach out to Twitter, they'll verify your account. Because I think there's been some cases where people have like created a bunch of accounts with similar names to them and been like, hey, can you verify me so people know that I am who I am and like not these guys? And
Well,
then Twitter has done it.
It says here in the article we have in our show notes that, you know, they used the verification program to authenticate the identities of high-profile Twitter users, but that changed in January 2016. So almost 2 years ago, they stripped this guy who's a far-right with individual with history of provoking people. They took away his badge and it made it seem like it's basically like an endorsement from Twitter, saying like, okay, you're good in our book. So I think that's what this is about more than anything.
Yeah. I just feel like that if I had an opinion against someone who had their verification or verified status stripped, then I would be less informed on where to go to express that directly to that person. So that's where I come from with my standpoint, and in that I feel like it's an interesting way to handle this situation. I mean, I'm all for punishing people from verified hate organizations and getting rid of hate speech as a thing and making it harder for their message to get out. But I just kind of question the method of judging people outside of the internet, which is the core of this discussion, is just, can you take something they do off of your website and punish them on your website for it? Unless it's empirically illegal. It can be hate, but if
Yeah.
it's as long as you're not like selling drugs and like posting photos of it on Twitter, like that's it's getting into a dangerous gray area.
Yeah, like kind
I
of
don't
like a weird censorship kind of area, and
Mhm. Very Big Brother-esque 1984.
yeah,
I just like, I get maybe it'll prevent other people from following in the future. Maybe they're gonna do the recommendations on who to follow based more on the blue check in the future than it is now. But like, if I follow XYZ celebrity or public figure, and then they do something stupid offline, but I still love their tweets, if that blue check's gone, I'm not going to all of a sudden unfollow them. So you're like, maybe you're preventing the message from spreading, but if you have 97K followers already, what's that matter? What does it do? Like, I don't get the point.
Well,
That's where-
people like
yeah.
just using current events as an example. I guess people still follow Ezekiel Elliott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. Like,
It's not going to change.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't change before the suspension, didn't change the first time it got pushed through, didn't change the second time it got pushed through, didn't change now. Like,
Right.
he still did what he did. He still got suspended, and the same amount of people still follow him.
so this kind of like
It's nothing he said, but
is this kind of
follows
like
him.
Twitter balking then, like kind of having like they're showing that they're judging people outside of just their service, and they're also not really doing anything by judging them this way.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Like, at what point do they just strip it because they want to?
It's
I
a good
don't know.
question.
Because that's kind of what this is. Like, someone was just like, I don't like that guy. I'm gonna make it harder for him to Twitter.
Right? Did he just talk trash on Twitter? He's getting
Wait,
blocked.
off Twitter? Hold on. Hold the phone. I don't support this. I don't know. I think it's
Yeah.
weird.
Interesting
Yeah,
direction
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. You know
I
what
mean,
else is weird?
You're
Oh,
going to take
go ahead.
verified checks away from people who are actual public figures. And then I know a dude who had one of his tweets at LeVar Ball go viral, and his followers went from 1,000 to 8,000 in a day, and he got a blue check. So, I mean, he's a dude from South Philly who writes about Philly sports, who's not on the national media, who isn't on the radio, who doesn't have a voice anywhere except for the internet and Twitter. And it's hitting less than 9,000 people a day, and he has a blue check. So, I mean, go ahead and get rid of XYZ dudes. Yeah, I'm going to keep using XYZ the whole episode. XYZ dudes blue check, who has 97,000 followers and is still going to get that message out to all those people, and keep this guy, South Philly sports writer who graduated from Penn, who had a funny tweet once. Get that guy a blue check stat.
It's ridiculous. But what I was going to say was something else that is weird is when you go to submit a bug to a bug bounty, but instead you get direct threats from the company. So what I'm getting into is DJI. Ryan, I know you're vaguely familiar with that company and its products. They're a company, for those who are less informed than Ryan, is a company that manufactures the popular Phantom brand of drones.
Not a
So,
company, a Chinese company. I think it's
yes.
important to state that.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. So, what happened was they found a security error, and had begun, after beginning to probe their systems under their bug bounty program, which was announced in August. But he got increasing pushback from the company, and I'm reading directly from the article. He got pushback from the company, including a threat of charges under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. So they refused to offer any protection against legal action under their final offer for the data. So he dropped the program and just published his findings publicly yesterday. Yesterday, as of the publishing of this article, which is the 17th of November. And he walked away from $30,000 because the company threatened legal action because of a bug.
Right. So they publicly open a bug bounty program. So like, hey, come find bugs for us and we'll give you a reward if you do. This guy did that, and now they're threatening him with charges. So it's like the guy's like, nah, I'm just gonna publish this finding because this is some shady stuff
Yeah.
that you guys are doing. And some of this information that he got access to was flight log data, images uploaded by DJI customers, including photos of government IDs, driver licenses, and passports.
Hmm.
Some of the data included flight logs from accounts associated with with government and military domains. They, I don't know if you mentioned this, but they opened this bug bounty program shortly after the U.S. Army issued a ban on using DJI drones for any military purpose due to "quote unquote" operational security concerns.
Yeah, this was just back in September. They released this bug bounty program.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy Finestier, once he started finding these server bugs and he was able to see all these photo IDs and things, that's when they said, because he was reporting all these findings, he had an ongoing string with one of their representatives, and after he found him on the server, they kind of realized it seems like that this was a major breach, and they're just like, oh, like what do we do now? So then they kind of threw up a flag like, oh, you're not supposed to be looking at our servers, like that's not part of our bug bounty program. Like they threw it in way late in the game, and there was nothing about it in the beginning. And then they tried to bring it against him for that, because it's almost like they panicked. It was a major bug.
Mm-hmm.
They had public accounts on their servers.
It's like that one Star Wars quote where he's like, "I've altered the agreement, pray I do not." Or he's like, "I've altered the arrangement, pray I do not alter it further." Kind of a thing where like he's like, "Oh, we got this bug bounty program." He finds a bug. They're like, "No, that's not a bug. You're gonna get arrested. That doesn't count. That doesn't work." And it's, I don't know, but
Hey, woo, hey.
We'll get out of there. Apparently, they're all from North Dakota now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they just gave him a final offer and were like, get out of our servers, and if you want to get your bugs published publicly, this is how you get your bugs published publicly. And I don't know, this is no Hungarian hacking scheme. It's not nearly as bulletproof as that train system. So
Each day, DJI offered an official statement saying that DJI investigating that reported unauthorized access to one of the DJI servers containing personal information submitted by our users. They say, yeah, we continue to protect your privacy, blah, 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 blah. Everyone says, right, legalese. They stated that today a hacker who obtained some of this personal data posted online his confidential communication with DJI employees about his attempts to claim a bug bounty from the DJI security response center.
Like that's in quotes. To claim a bug bounty. As if they never had a bug bounty program to begin with.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
They call him a hacker, but he contacted
Their representative
DJI and their DJI directly for this bug bounty, and they in turn threatened him with a lawsuit. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna publish this because this."
No, he was in contact with one of the representatives for a chain that was 130 emails long. So they threatened him after that.
That's like saying, "Hey, we'll pay you to be a hacker," and then you're a hacker, and they're like, "We're gonna sue you."
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, you're a hacker."
What? Yeah.
The bug submissions through the bug bounty program's official email address were shut down as of yesterday. This article was published on the 17th. So on the 16th, that bug bounty program was shut down temporarily, or for I don't know how long. We'll see.
It's weird that they spelled through THRU in their official email. Just saying.
You said the bug bounty program got shut down. I don't think it existed to begin with, apparently.
Yeah. Baiting in hackers.
It was a facade.
Yeah, it's a bait and switch is what it is. Oh, here's $30,000. Never mind, you're arrested.
DJI claims that they have paid out thousands of dollars to almost a dozen researchers since the program was launched.
Yeah.
Says you could still submit bugs through their security webpage if anyone is so inclined out there. Not that I'm guessing there's many takers, considering you'll probably get called a hacker. But,
Yeah.
You might get your blue check taken away too. You don't want to.
That's true. That's true.
Either that, or make sure that the email that you're using them from contains a profile picture of you wearing a white hat when you
That's a good point, Slavin.
they get the visual as well as the literal metaphor of you being a white hat hacker.
Yes.
A white hat, but only a white hat.
If it's a gray hat,
yeah, make it real interesting.
Yeah.
No shirt, no shoes, right?
I'm not going that far, but I'm going to leave it up to whoever wants to get into the email chain.
Can I talk about one thing real quick in the article? And it's definitely me just nitpicking about absolutely nothing, and you all are going to hate me for bringing it up. But in his letter that he writes, someone explain this phrasing to me because I've never enjoyed it. He says, no less than 4 lawyers told me in various ways that the agreement was not only extremely risky, but it was likely crafted in bad faith. No less than 4 lawyers? What did you ask? Like 10, but 4 of them were like, dude, that looks like a trap. Don't do that.
Or he's just like,
no less than 4 of them.
This is between.
He didn't say at least 4. He didn't say 4. He said no less than 4 lawyers.
9 out of 10 lawyers disagree with this idea.
Maybe it was like
what
somewhere.
What did the other lawyers say?
It could have been between 4 and like 100 lawyers, and he lost count after 4. He's like, well,
1, 2,
yeah,
4. I don't know. There's 4.
Yeah.
There was 4 of them.
That's how
I got the 4 emails to prove it.
That's how those toothpaste commercials work too. What, Ervin?
He probably
No.
All right.
One thing I got to say about DJI though, as a customer, is that their hardware is amazing and their software is garbage, like absolute, just horrible stuff. This doesn't surprise me at all, but
if you accidentally find a bug, make sure you keep that to yourself.
yeah, apparently I'm gonna keep it on the run.
Post it on Twitter.
They must.
Only if I blue check, man.
Yeah.
They must have the same programming team as OnePlus.
Oh,
Maybe.
It's all just one giant Chinese programming group that's all working on crappy software together.
Yeah.
Are they based out of Helsinki? Just kidding.
No. But with that being said, I think unless anybody has any closing topics on this, if you would like to speak your mind now. Otherwise, I think that's the end of the first half. I think we can call it.
No less than 5 of us will be back in the second half.
possibly wearing white hats. Time will tell.
Yeah. We'll have blue checks to confirm that you can see way you know it's really us.
I'll have my
and
bug
Ervin
net
at
with
any
me.
point can remove our blue check.
True.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah.
So with that being said, we will see you guys in the next half.
Everybody, welcome back. Second half of episode 28 of Industry 4.0. Joined by no less than 4 other people who are on this podcast. I told you I was going to use it.
Still got it.
We appreciate you guys checking into the second half. If you are watching us live on Twitch right now, you know the address that you're at. If you're not, and you want to watch us live in the future, because let me tell you, it's entertaining stuff. You can go to twitch.tv/industry40, all sped out. So it's FOUROH. If you want to see what awesome social media presence we have, you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter, both facebook.com or twitter.com/industry40. Again, all spelled out. We also do, we have our Twitch streams embedded on Facebook, so you can also watch us live on Facebook if you don't want to go to Twitch or download the new app. If you are listening to us in audio form, you're either listening to us on iTunes or Google Play. You can catch us on there, Industry 4.0. If you search that, you'll find us. We are the white symbol with the black and green gears, big number 4 in the bottom left-hand corner. And of course, got to shout out our hosting site, industry40.podbean.com. Podbean, obviously being the site that hosts us. I mean, that's all the ways to hear us and hear what we have to say after the fact. But for all those people listening live, let's get right into it. I know that one thing that I like to see live, just like you people like to see us live, I like to see how much money I'm going to spend live. And Uber finally giving us a little bit of insight into that with their new scheduled rides feature. As long as you schedule a ride at least an hour ahead of time. So if you, again, an hour ahead of time, they will, what your price is going to be, and you are able to lock that in as long as you obviously get the ride. So I don't know how exciting this is for you guys. I haven't used the scheduled ride features. Mine's usually like I walk outside and go, let's get that Uber now. But for people who are constantly on the go, especially in the business world, Ervin, you might be able to touch better on this than some of us. How big of a deal is this? How important is this to you?
Yeah, I've used the schedule feature a couple times when I need to get up early to make sure I get to an airport where I'm traveling somewhere. I need to catch a plane. I scheduled the ride to ensure that it gets to me on time, so I have enough time to get to the airport. So I time it correctly. And I've noticed, it wasn't showing up. I didn't know how much it's going to cost for that ride until actually they picked who was going to be. They showed my Uber driver, and they showed me that it was on the way to pick me up. So it's very useful, so you can actually judge now. Okay, this you can expect now what you might have to pay, or not about, but exactly what you might have to pay if you do go through. It's very useful for sure. I'm not sure why I didn't have it till now, but what was preventing them from implementing something like this? It's just to show. I don't know how it affects, like, in certain cities they have surge pricing. Like, does that take into account if you schedule ahead of time during surge hours, or I don't know.
I would have thought it was, related to how many available drivers there are, how many people are hailing Ubers at that time, like where the driver is exactly located in relation to where you are, if they accept your ride. Those are what, I was thinking the same thing. That's what came to mind. I use it, like you, for rides to the airport and back generally, and I'm a big fan of scheduling my ride. So if you're using cash or something like that for this, it's definitely going to be useful to know how much you're going to be paying exactly ahead of time. I'm not bouncing off the walls with excitement about this, but I think, like you said, it's overdue, and it makes sense that they're doing this now.
Right. You were saying that you were wondering what it took them so long to add this now. I think that's literally it. Like, they could have just forgotten. Like, they implemented the scheduling feature and they're like, oh yeah, it might also be helpful if people knew what they were paying up front before they had this ride.
Well,
so
I think the big thing before was they wanted to take into account their surge pricing still. So they give you it used to be they would give you an estimate, and that way, in case there was a random surge and they got super busy, they could still get that bonus money. Well, now it's, I think a measure of good faith trying to get people back onto them instead of Lyft. It's like, hey, look, if you're a business person, guess what? Are going to tell you exactly how much, so you can plan out your entire day, including money and everything. Like, what you can bill and all this. It's a small move. It's not a major move, but they went from giving an estimate to hopefully, if there is a surge, they might get more money out of you, to now they guarantee it. It's a measure of good faith, I think, to get get back some goodwill from the public.
It's weird reporting good things about Uber.
It's good though.
It is.
That's maybe their point exactly.
Hey man,
some ground to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like it. It's a good change. It's a welcome change.
And while you're scheduling your rides with those Ubers, the next car that might come pick you up probably won't have a driver in it. Uber announced plans to buy up to 24,000 self-driving cars from Volvo. It is a non-binding framework deal that could offer Uber autonomous driving vehicles and get that fleet rolling out to get rid of the for Uber drivers. So they can keep bigger cut of the Uber fare. Not sure how Uber drivers like that idea, but it sort of turns Uber into a taxi kind of service. You could just summon a taxi at any point and just come picks you up without anyone driving.
These are nice SUVs too.
Yeah, they're XC90 SUVs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures of them right now. They're really nice.
It's a non-exclusive deal, so it means that Volvo can also offer the same type of technology to cyclical cars with the technology built in to other people as well. But Uber said that they will also put their own tech on top of it to enhance it, so might offer some kind of edge over someone else who might be partnering with Volvo as well, using the same type of vehicle, which could be interesting.
It's a good choice for the type of car. I think Volvo has a sterling reputation for its safety features, so I think that's going to be comforting to passengers of Uber.
Right. And it's Volvo as a company too. We were reporting on them earlier, a few episodes back, about how they're switching over to all electric, and now this push for self-driving. It's good to see that a large automaker is at the forefront of pushing this kind of technology into services like Uber and into cities this could potentially be deployed anywhere, with pending the tech being good enough and the deals they can make. So this is exciting. I'm actually looking forward to this, and I think that it would be awesome to see one of these in Philadelphia. I know that they had been testing cars for more than a year with cities like Tempe, Arizona, and Pittsburgh. So I think and I've heard people who I used to go to college with who have seen and been in those cars in Pittsburgh. So, and they said it was pretty cool when you get a free ride just because it's new technology. But I'm personally very excited for this.
That actually concerns me a little bit, because it even says here in the article, the self-driving system that would be used in the Volvo cars, which is yet to be built, is still under development by Uber's advanced technologies team. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're buying patents from Google or they're buying patents from Tesla or somebody who already works on like semi-autonomous cars. They're just going to build it from the ground up. And
or you can just steal the patents from Waymo.
Yeah, or from Waymo. True.
Too soon.
They're trying to push hard to develop something because they're losing money hand over fist every single quarter, and they have to turn things around because I think their ultimate goal is to cut all drivers out of the equation, and to keep the entire cut of that Uber price when you get an Uber 100%. Last quarter they lost more than $600 million just in one quarter, which is crazy.
Yep.
Well, it's a good thing they're pairing with Volvo, and as the article goes on to mention, it's one of Sweden's largest manufacturers by revenue, and it's forecast a fourth straight year of record sales. So I think if anybody can pull Uber out of this, it's Volvo.
Yep.
But on the contrary, like you said earlier, it's not a exclusive deal. So they could turn around and say, hey, this was lucrative for us. We're going to go and give the same thing to Lyft or whatever the technology is in these different countries and all. I mean, it's not an exclusive deal, and it's only for 2 years. Like you said, I mean, if they do, I mean, they don't have to stay exclusive, but if they do stay exclusive, you're right. I think they could have a big impact on Uber turning these things around. One thing I wanted to touch on is, Thompson, you actually touched on it before I did. I wanted to touch on it myself. I don't know enough about car development and like actual tech development to answer this question. I don't think any of us do. But so they have that exclusive deal they had the deal for 2 years, 2019 to 2021. It's 24,000 cars, but the cars haven't been built yet, and the tech hasn't been completed. Like, obviously you can't complete, but like the tech is just newly under development, and the cars aren't even made yet. How worried are you about them having like ideas of grandeur for a couple years down the road, and they haven't even started the process really yet?
Right, I'm concerned they're just beta testing on the road. It's like, all right, well, your car's going to what's going to be the incentive? I want to get in your car that's never been tested before. Maybe they'll make it free. It could be a free ride. Oh, well, you want to try our beta test cars here? You get a free ride on us.
Yeah, they've done that before in Pittsburgh.
Don't they have like a driver there for like a oh crap kind of situation?
Chaperone.
Yes, I mean basically, what my take would. I mean, it looks like in this thumbnail picture here in 2016 they had the Volvo XC90 self-driving car being demoed in Pittsburgh. So I mean, it seems like this. It's not like they just started developing this technology. Maybe it's a little more fresh than others, and more so, what I would say is that you've Lyft working with Waymo and Ford and Nutanme and Drive.ai for their fleet. That sounds like a way better resume, so to speak, than just we got Volvo. Right, but I don't know. I feel like there's more to come on this story, personally.
Yeah.
If it is just Volvo and Uber trying to tackle it together, I'd be very surprised.
The big difference between, to carry off of that, with how they were field testing in Pittsburgh and how this deal could go through is this. And the article does mention it. It could give Uber the first commercial fleet of cars that it owns. So most of the other cars that they were field testing, I think, were on loan from universities in the area and deals that those companies had with established organizations in those cities. So this would be nice that they could deploy these anywhere because it's their fleet of cars.
Yeah.
So
totally
that's just, I
agree.
thought that was an important point to bring. There's just 24,000 cars. You can put them anywhere.
Yeah.
Sprinkle some in every city.
Maybe in like a 500-mile range or so.
Yeah.
So, you know what else has a 500-mile range? The Tesla Semi. Yeah. So, Ervin and I actually covered their live unveiling event last week, and the Tesla Semi truck has been unveiled with a 500-mile range at, what was it, Ervin? 60 miles per hour with a full 80,000-pound load. That's pretty ridiculous.
Worst case was what Elon said, I thought.
Yeah, that's what he referred to as the worst case. This thing sounds redonkulous to me. A lot of
without a trailer, it goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Then that's faster than my current car. That's faster than my Model S. Without a trailer, but still, it's a lot bigger of a vehicle to move 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Still fairly impressive. One other thing that they announced is that they'll offer not supercharging stations, but mega charging stations either en route or at the destination. It'll give the truck 400 miles of range in 30 minutes, which is just ridiculous. And that's enough typically to for the truck to drive to the destination, and while they're unloading, it'll charge up and then can go back and take another load back to wherever it came from or another destination. So that's the idea behind it. Go ahead.
When these trucks stop, like they're usually at rest stops for about an hour. Like they can be there for a while. And I know, like I've seen, like you're going to Turnpike in Pennsylvania, for example, or I'm sure any highway, you go into a rest stop along one of those big roads and you just see like row upon row of semi just parked either.
They're also legally required to stop after a certain hours. They legally can't drive any more than us. I don't know the exact number of how many hours.
I think the metric we found too, I don't know if this was actually, I think Elon said this, was that the refueling time for diesel powered semi is about 15 to 20 minutes as is. So it's not a huge difference.
Yeah, this is seriously impressive for a first take at a semi truck.
Right.
This is like, and not to mention, like, this is like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've seen a new semi in years. in any form, let
Yeah.
alone the fact that it's electric.
One of the
I mentioned this to Jeff while we were watching. I was like, I never thought in my life I'd be excited for a semi launch event.
Yeah.
But I was super excited. They didn't never mention price, which is very interesting. They never told us what the actual price of the truck was. The main thing that they focused on throughout the event was the savings over the cost of ownership over a regular diesel truck, which I think most freight companies care about, right? How much does it cost me to run per year? If it's cheaper, it doesn't matter if it's the initial price tag is higher. If it within a year span it still saves me money, that's fine with me. I rather they would be happy to pay a bigger whatever amount it may be upfront, but if this saves them over time, then they'll be happy to take that upfront cost. Yeah, so they said on average it's about 20% cheaper than a regular diesel truck to run per year. Elon also mentioned that they guarantee that this truck will not break down for 1 million miles.
Yeah.
So if you buy one of these, Tesla's standing behind this truck that it will not break down for 1 million miles.
And it's jackknife proof.
And it's impressive to see. Like I just did a quick Google search for some stats, and there's the average between 100 and 110,000 miles per year. That's, and if you're not going to break down for 1 million, that's 10 years of service easily for one of those trucks.
Yep.
But
I don't want to know what the service would cost after those 10 years, but or with the upfront costs, I would think that assuming it's going to be a really big number, you're probably not going to see a lot of small companies that are going to be using these, like your local grocery stores or anything like that. But I mean, if you can imagine your huge conglomerate type companies that do a lot of freighting, or maybe even big industrial or supply
Jeff,
companies.
You're a robot, Jeff.
But yeah,
Everyone's a robot.
we're all robots. But well, that seems to have fixed itself now.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I'm not sure if I am.
Nope. Not on my end.
Be a substantial saving added for these trucks. On top
we
of
were
that-
looking. Yeah.
what were you
Yeah,
saying?
we were looking at numbers right before the event, Jeff and I, and it said around $70,000 of that is just the diesel cost alone.
That's impressive.
And what Tesla also guaranteed was the price of the electricity at those mega chargers. So
Mhm.
they guaranteed 7 cents per kilowatt for the cost of the electricity. So depending on where you live, that could be a significant savings, because I know in California it can be as high as 18 cents per kilowatt for the cost of electricity. And the way that they guarantee this price is that most of these mega chargers will mainly rely on solar energy to charge up battery packs at the mega charger, and then offload that onto these trucks once they go and charge. So they are just running on solar energy. So that way Tesla can guarantee they're not relying on the grid that much.
Yeah.
Another way that they said that you could even improve the efficiency of having one of these cars over a regular diesel truck is by creating a convoy of these Tesla semi trucks. So that means is, let's say if you need 3 truckloads of stuff to go in one warehouse, you can line up 3 of these Tesla semi trucks but you only need one driver in the very first car, and the two others behind it will just follow along without a driver. And that by doing that, it actually, according to Elon and Tesla, that actually brings the cost down lower than rail, like by transporting something via train, which is kind of crazy.
Not to mention, I wonder if using like kind of rotating them in and out, I wonder if you'd be able to extend the range of all three trucks by having them have less air resistance.
Yes,
just by drafting off of each other.
Yeah, that definitely would improve the efficiency. Although this truck, I should say, does have a lower drag coefficient, which what that translates to is how much drag the body, when it goes through the air, causes. And it has a lower drag coefficient than a Bugatti. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's more aerodynamic than a supercar.
Yeah,
and it hauls freight. That's
any other comments? I know I've been talking a lot. I'm just listening off specs.
Yeah, I got one.
For everyone else. I'll let
I got
guys
one.
talk and chime in.
The Convoy scares the crap out of me in theory. Because like I get nervous near semis still to this day, because it's just at any point I feel like it's gonna get blown over on top of my car and that's gonna be it. And to know that the other two, I mean, it's, I have to get used to it, but to know that the other two don't have a driver in there and that it's just gonna follow the other one, like I think there's just too much of a chance where it just ignores the cars next to it. I gotta get in this lane, and just it's gonna be a nightmare. I know that that's not gonna happen, but like that's just the driver and me freaking out seeing three semi trucks all following each other.
What I want to know is what happens to the Convoy when they get off the highway.
Yeah, that
would be interesting to see.
No one else can exit.
They did announce that these Tesla semis will come with enhanced autopilot as standard, and what that will mean in these Tesla semis in particular, that it'll automatically keep in the lane without the driver interacting with the vehicle. It won't automatically change lanes or things like that the regular cars currently do, but it will maintain a speed, maintain a safe distance from other cars, and keep itself in a certain lane. So that could be fairly interesting in terms of driver fatigue, right? So that I know in my car, when I turn that on, it takes the worry out of, especially in bumper to bumper traffic. You just turn that on, you just let the car do its thing. You don't have to worry about as much, right? And it reduces the fatigue on that driver, and that'll might help the truck driver reduce that fatigue as well.
I want to buy one of these for myself.
If you want, it's $5,000 a deposit if you want to reserve one right now. Tesla did say that they'll start shipping these in 2019. I don't know how Tesla's not good for their keeping a schedule on
with
time.
the Model 3.
Speaking of which,
so we'll see when they actually launch.
Yeah.
Wait, Jeff, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, speaking of which, not being sure about when they're actually going to deliver these things, do you guys think this is kind of planned because of what's been going on with the Model 3 and the delay they've been seeing there?
So this launch has been planned way before this Model 3 bottleneck was even announced. So they've been planning to launch this semi thing. I don't know. I don't think it's a distraction from it. It might seem that way. I view it like I question Tesla's motives. Like, why are you just doing a semi right now? Focus on the Model 3, get those out, start shipping them. I do question that still. Like, why are they really pursuing this so heavily? I mean, I see the potential. I know I see the potential. Like, it could be a huge market, but
it's a big industry.
I mean, yeah, but get the Model 3 right. Get it out to all the people who have pre-ordered it. and then move on to the next one. I think
Yeah, but maybe the semi
might-
makes them more money. I mean,
they might be biting off more than they can chew. I don't know.
Yeah,
Elon's good at like experimenting with the power of hype.
he is.
Yeah.
Like
Especially
he did with
better at
the,
meeting timelines.
right. Well, he did that. Ervin, you probably know more about the Boring Company who was trying to build a test tunnel under Washington D.C. or something like that. Was it Washington D.C. recently?
No, he's building a tunnel from DC to New York and stops along with like Philadelphia and others.
Right,
Mhm.
and he put the idea out there, and all the city officials were like, "No, we never agreed to anything like this." But now that he did get some signatures from I feel like it was the Maryland area.
Yeah. So he started some signatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hype does work to a certain extent, but he likes getting others on board first. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would
Did you
agree with
guys-
that for sure. Like
Yeah.
I don't know as
Yeah.
much. I don't know as much about Tesla as everybody else, but every time we talk about them, you're right. It's all this hype and like, yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, but we can do it.
Yeah.
A couple years from now.
Yeah. Speaking of hype, did you guys see that weird thing that came out of the back of the semi at the end of the event?
It was
you guys see that?
it was a magic rabbit, right?
Yeah, it was a magic rabbit that can go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
So a regular rabbit. Oh wait, no,
Oh.
that
So
was a Tesla
then-
Roadster.
Yeah. Tesla did one more thing. They pulled an Apple
They
at
did.
the end of this keynote or whatever you want to call it, this announcement. So all everyone knew was they're just gonna talk about the semi, and it looked like the event was gonna end. Jeff and I were watching the event live. And we were just gonna discuss what we just saw about the Tesla Semi. And the music went down, and then all of a sudden the music started back up, different kind of vibe, and then a Roadster popped out of the back of one of the Tesla Semis. Version 2.0 of the Roadster has been highly anticipated for a long time. People have been asking on Twitter at Elon Musk, when is the next generation of Roadster coming? For anyone who doesn't know, the Roadster was Tesla's original car. So the very first car that they made originally cost $250,000. It was a modified Lotus Elise with a Tesla motor and a battery pack. The very first car, and people have been clamoring for a updated version of it.
Yeah.
And Tesla delivered with the specs. We'll see if they actually pull it off. But there's been also some clarification on these numbers. Elon has been quoted on Twitter stating that these are base model numbers and they are upgrade packages that'll improve these, which haven't been announced yet.
How fast can something go 0 to 60 before it achieves lift and flips over?
Right.
Like how? You get a plane at that point.
Right.
He did say on Twitter that this car might achieve lift for a short period of time if you floor it, if you're going up a little hill.
That's not scary at all.
Sure. And some people have even doubted that if a car can break, a production car can break this 2-second barrier to 0 to 60. Yeah, I don't know. What you guys' thoughts?
I saw the videos of them, of the the takeoffs and stuff that they had, showing the speed, and like it looks, all the videos first off look fast forwarded, so it's crazy to see how fast this thing goes. And second, the name that they gave that speed setting is probably my favorite thing ever. They call it plaid.
Yeah.
So you set the car to plaid and you go that fast, and you see like the little animation it plays from Spaceballs from when they go plaid. It's so perfect. I love it. I love it so much.
Elon's a huge Spaceballs fan. Spaceball fan.
Yeah.
We can list off some of the specs. So we already talked about the 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, 0 to 100 in 4.2, a quarter mile in 8.8 seconds.
It's nuts.
All it says for the top speed is over 250 miles an hour. They didn't say what the maximum actually will be. Wheel torque is an interesting number. It's 10,000 Newton meters. I went online and did a conversion. That converts to over 7,000 foot-pounds of torque. At the wheels, I don't know if that is breaking the rules of physics. I don't know what kind of material they're using for the axles so they don't snap off. But it's very interesting. Mile range is freaking impressive. 620 miles per charge, going at highway speeds.
You could probably flip this car with your bare hands. Like, it's probably that light.
Not with that battery pack. No, it's not. It comes with 200 kilowatt a battery pack, which is twice the amount as the highest one you can get right now in a Model S or an X. It has all-wheel drive. Base model price is $200,000. If you want a reservation, you need to put down $50K right now. If you want to reserve one of these bad boys,
no big deal.
Or Founder Series, if you want to reserve that, you got to put down $250,000.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay full price if you want the Founder Series.
Does it come with like a Elon engraving or something?
It comes with a clone of Elon, actually.
Oh, I like that.
Permanent backseat passenger.
Permanent DJ. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It is definitely a nice looking car.
The fact that it seats 4 still blows my mind.
4.
He said like two people plus 2 small people. That's how he kind of described it.
Yeah.
It was pretty awkward actually during the event, but I was like,
it seems like they're steering away from the Lotus look. This is a Ferrari type or something.
Yeah, this is their own design. The Ferrari wasn't. Not the Ferrari. The Lotus wasn't, right? So this is their first own Roadster design in-house from the ground up.
I'll be the one to say it. If you need to go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, you've made some mistakes along the way. You need to reevaluate your life if you're like, I need this car because I need to be places in 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
It's not because you need to be; it's because you want to be.
You're always late. I'm always late.
It's for the ultimate procrastinator,
right? You overslept.
How much is your sleep worth?
Just shaving 10 seconds off of it.
That's right.
Probably puts Pop-Tarts in the microwave instead of the toaster.
It doesn't rewind the VHS tapes.
Is that because it goes?
The next closest car that comes any close to this type of performance costs $3 million. So at $200,000 is a bargain.
Wait, what's the next closest? Bugatti?
The Bugatti, yep.
The Chiron.
Yeah, 300 million for that one.
Wait, 3 million or 300 million?
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah, one's an expensive car and one is the GDP of a small nation.
I have to say that I don't know if a song would be as catchy if it was "I Woke Up in a New Tesla." Yeah. I don't know. It depends on the beat, I guess. But
yeah, I woke up in a new Roadster. I'm gonna stop now.
Yeah, dig it. 80s jukebox jams.
Yeah, so we need a saxophone in there too.
We got the sax player right here, Ryan Thompson.
Oh man, we got this.
Thompson, did you get that saxophone at a music store, or did you get it delivered to you?
I got it in a music store back in the day.
Not UPS.
Not UPS.
Well, we got news about UPS.
I was about the transition.
I did it for you. I did it for you, Slavin.
Thank you.
Just trying to shout for the title.
Always got my back.
I'm the people's champ. UPS is working with the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority to develop new technology, switching from diesel fuel delivery vehicles to electric power. So I'm not really sure if this acronym is any easier to say than the whole thing, but let's just go with the New York State Energy Research is looking to provide $500,000 to provide help develop the technology. And they're hoping that there'll be a production ready version by spring 2018, and that by 2022 they'll switch over 1,500 trucks, or 2/3 of the fleet operating in New York City.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Definitely a good direction. A city like New York kind of needs this shift, in my opinion, with all the emissions in a place like that.
I want to say like it's the perfect direction, but $500,000 seems like a drop in the bucket. Like even for a concept, like they're building a concept truck, $500,000 in parts, maybe you'd be lucky to get one concept model out of that.
Well, state energy research and development. So you were talking public government donating $500,000, partnering with UPS. I mean, it's for the betterment, but I don't know if they're putting more money in. I get what you're saying though. 66% of the fleet. Why not go for the full 100? Like,
There you go.
you know.
What's impressive is the timeline for only 500,000 is they're able to switch over more than half of their fleet.
Yeah, it's quick, right?
That's impressive. And something that I think should follow very closely from this would be the U.S. Postal Service. Those like weird box trucks you see driving around. Like those would be the perfect vehicle to just strap an electric engine onto. It's cheap. They're built onto the frame of a Ford Focus, so the frame is easy to source. Or not Ford Focus, a Ford Explorer.
I was gonna say a Focus.
But
Matt, I get the feeling if I come over to your place, there's gonna be one of those, and you're like out front, you're building it yourself. I think this is the second or third time you mentioned that.
Yeah. I just think they're perfect for it. I don't know. I think those cars are the absolute perfect thing for it. But yeah, good on you.
I feel like the U.S. Postal Service trucks are kind of like the polar opposite of the aerodynamic design of the Tesla. Like one is built to like cascade air around it, and the other one is just like a box on wheels.
Yeah, that's the baseline for the coefficient test. It's like, can you pass a U.S. Postal Service truck in your drag coefficient? Congratulations, you have a car.
Could you double as a brick for a wall?
Yeah, you can just...
If so, you may be qualified to deliver mail. Not the driver, just to be clear. The truck.
Oh, man.
I'm full of regret.
Yes.
I just want to drive one time so I can drive, on the right side of the car instead of the left side. That's all I want.
Yeah. It's the best. But I'm just happy that UPS is actually making a step, because those trucks need an update. And the fact that they're going from gas to electric is good.
What if they just gut the frame so it's still that big ugly truck and they just put the new parts in?
That would be fine. It's still the same old gross truck, but it
seems
just has
dense and all. Just like don't even soup it, nothing. Just
if they're swapping out 66% of their fleet, they must have been due for an upgrade. You know what I mean? Like that's a big number to just dive in on. I feel like those trucks are probably pretty beat up. They're probably ready for something fresh.
Yeah,
66%. Like, repair the ones that we have.
Yeah.
Coincidentally,
66% of their fleet is also on the verge of a major failure of hardware. And
exactly. Elsewhere,
another upgrade is coming. Electrifying of another type of vehicle is Mercedes-Benz is getting into the game of upgrading city buses to go electric in 2018.
I'm so happy that all the boring cars are getting updated to electric. I'm so happy. Semi-trucks, buses, mail. This is great.
Yeah.
You got to get the infrastructure.
Yeah. Over a dozen cities recently pledged to make their bus fleets all electric by 2030. Among them were LA and Seattle. So Mercedes is getting the game to start testing. Mercedes says it's begun testing prototypes in quote unquote extreme conditions like the icy roads of the Arctic Circle and on the sweltering tarmac of Spain's Sierra Nevada. So they're taking to these buses to the extremes so that they can pre-stress test these to ensure that they perform well in all kinds of conditions.
Can you imagine being like stranded in the snow in the Arctic Circle and like rushing past you goes like a Seattle city bus for the testing?
You made a wrong turn, man.
That's good though. They are testing it. They should also test it in Philadelphia, just because of how our roads are.
I know this isn't going to happen, but like we hear all these stories about like, oh, let's test them in extreme conditions. I'm wondering if there's going to be like some loophole when you go to just moderate conditions where they just fail for some reason that you didn't test.
It's like, sorry, we were at least expecting a tornado. This isn't going to work.
Exactly.
Banana peels, man. Banana peels.
Oh, okay. So I have to tell you guys this. My buddy's in Japan right now, just because you made me think of it, Thompson. And he said that there is a bridge outside of his hotel called the Rainbow Bridge.
What?
And he said that every morning he has been woken up to the sound of guys coming out of the bottom of the building that he's in, all dressed like Mario Kart characters, all driving over the Rainbow Bridge.
That's awesome.
He says every day.
Oh,
Jeez.
Continue.
We have stuff like that in Philadelphia where a bunch of people drive by on ATVs, but I haven't seen any of them in Mario.
Yeah, it's not Mario themed. It's not Mario themed yet, Slavin.
Yeah,
Give it time.
they're moving that way. Someone with a green hat the other day.
I have a Luigi hat in my car, just saying. But anyway, Mercedes-Benz making the move to go electric. Cool news, positive news. And then...
But real quick, do you guys know, what kind of commitment they have made to making their regular cars electric, or is it just this bus fleet? Or
I remember them.
I know it wasn't related to the story, but I don't know if you guys know at all if Mercedes-Benz is doing anything electric or like has any immediate plans to do anything electric.
I'm pretty sure they said they were gonna make it. Go ahead, Ervin. Sorry.
I know we mentioned a lot of car companies pledging, like Volvo, in previous episodes. I don't remember Mercedes-Benz specifically, but
yeah. So the news we actually covered it, I think, like back in early fall or something. But the parent company of Mercedes-Benz was trying to offer electric versions of all of its cars by 2022. I'm not sure about migrating like all of them, but they're at least they're making a push in that direction at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's either a trend or could lead to to work with their regular cars. So it's just cool, like you said.
It is cool, and there's some new tech apparently being developed. Believe it was a patent, or at least an announcement by Fisker about it filed patents for solid state lithium ion batteries. And it's expecting to produce them on a mass scale by 2023 or so. So about 5 years from now. But what they're saying they can do with these batteries is really cool. I know it's a little bit of a wait, but they're saying that they can they're developing batteries that have 2.5 times the energy density of current batteries. They should be capable of providing a 500-mile driving range, so akin to what we were hearing from Tesla with those huge semi-trucks. But the biggest thing for me, at least, is that they're saying that those batteries could be recharged in as little as a minute.
That is insane.
It is insane.
And a game changer. Because
So
if that can be rolled out into cars, that makes electric more of a time saver and a money saver than gas.
Yeah, and
like, in every way.
Apparently the technology is going to have a much less risk of fires or explosions occurring in relation to these batteries.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
good too. Samsung's happy about that.
Yeah, if you can make these phone size, that would be great.
Yeah. It was like sweating. It's like, oh, we gotta keep an eye on this one.
yeah, it'd be great for phones. Like, oh crap, I forgot to charge my phone overnight. Just plug it in, and you're like a second later, it's like, yep, you're full, ready to go.
Yeah, as long as you could maintain like the battery life, which it sounds like you can. It sounds like they're gonna last maybe even longer than some batteries that exist now. Charging throughout the day, like frequently, is going to be a thing of the past, I would think.
Even going off of that energy density, you could make things thinner. You could, if you didn't want to make things thinner, you could always just have the same size battery, and whatever you would possibly lose in battery capacity, you would gain back in the density you would now have
Yeah.
of the amount of charge you could store.
I don't know if I'd
So-
like with I mean, we're talking cars here, which, you know,
Yeah.
energy density is a pretty big deal there. But we were talking about like a phone. I don't think I'd want something too much thinner than this, because if you think about how much of that area is a battery, if you were to half that, or, you know.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, I was kind of going off the car thing when I said thinner, because
Okay.
like the skate for Teslas, but I know Apple's looking to make things thinner, so maybe they'll have an iPhone that's like a piece of paper.
I mean, Ervin, what percentage of your car is battery weight?
Weight, I'd say at least a third.
So, you know, if you take a significant amount of that away, that thing's gonna be much lighter.
And
Yeah.
you could also potentially have electric aircraft at that weight.
You definitely, yeah.
Hey, man.
Because that's one of the most biggest hinders right now for creating those
Mhm.
type of vehicles is the weight. For sure.
Yeah, because if you can take a battery that has this insane amount of energy density, less risk of fire or anything, and stick it in something the size of the fuselage of like a Boeing 747, you could very easily have a substitute for an airliner. And this is thinking way down the line, but like that's something that definitely could be an option in the future. And I mean, airplanes are horrendously like bad for the environment.
Yeah.
What about rockets?
Yeah,
That'd
could be it.
long term. It's just good.
That would
One
be
thing
pretty nuts.
I learned by reading this article that I had no idea that was a thing. So one of the members of the team who's developing this type of technology for Fisker was a co-founder of a company called Sakti 3 that was formed back in, or that was researching solid state technology back in 2011. That company was purchased by Dyson, a vacuum cleaner company. And Dyson is currently planning to produce an electric car by 2020. I didn't hear about this. I didn't know, but why is Dyson getting into the electric car business?
Do you think its wheels are going to look like its fans?
It's gonna look like
It's
this.
gonna be stylish.
If you click on one of the links, there's a mock-up and it looks hilarious.
Oh, I gotta say this. Oh man,
Oh man.
it looks like a Dyson fan somehow. I think someone literally just took like a hand vacuum and like flipped it over and then added wheels to it.
Mhm.
Someone is having fun in Photoshop for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
Yeah.
all that is.
But it's just
Yeah.
great. Like Dyson is getting into the electric car business, which is crazy. I found that I didn't know that. I just found that really interesting.
I wonder how their intakes would be, like air intakes, if there was. I guess you wouldn't need one if it's electric. But
If anybody knows air intake, it's Dyson.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing you need for electric car is to cool the battery pack.
Put a Dyson fan facing it.
Battery powered turbine engines.
there you go.
Mazdas.
Yeah.
It's a Harrier car. That's what it is.
Oh my god.
What
Yeah,
is
this is awesome. This is great news for batteries, and everyone like knows that batteries is probably the biggest hindrance in electronics, let alone cars or phones or anything. But just battery technology is very, very behind,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's in desperate need of a revamp.
So very cool stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think I'm gonna leave the show on a high note, guys. What do you think?
I'm okay with that.
Sounds good.
So, to all you listeners and viewers out there, it's the end of an era. Facebook is finally getting rid of those pesky app invites.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so your third-party app invites are going away. AKA, if you are sick and tired of getting Farmville and Candy Crush invites, you won't see them ever again.
People are going to be
Facebook.
so much happier now.
Can you
It's going to be
imagine?
like the Pokemon Go days.
This is this is like 6 years overdue in my opinion, but still awesome news. Celebrate, listeners, viewers, celebrate, because you're not going to get peer pressured into donating to your friend's farm anymore.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
if you're the people who sent those invites, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell the people who are into those things that get them in while you can. You know, it's going
That's
like
true.
our message to everybody.
Last chance.
Send them all to Matt.
I'm going to get thousands of Farmville requests now.
And if someone
Candy
finds
Crush.
a workaround for this, they're going to be one rich puppy.
Oh, God.
I'm already being the pessimist. Sorry. The good note is that it's gone for now.
I know, man.
You're at
Come on.
least going to get a break from this.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my uptick for the week.
I'm happy. It made me
thank
feel better. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. It's a little better than birds taking out power lines, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
I'm glad you think so.
But with that being said, as for us, even though there was no way I could have transitioned that, you can find us on Facebook without invites. We don't have a mass invite system. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, all at Industry40, all spelled out. If you're listening on audio, you can catch us on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Our RSS feed has hit pretty much every app that I've tried on Android, and I know iOS only has podcast, maybe one or two more. I don't know. But also, we now simulcast on Twitch and YouTube as of the last episode. So if you want to catch us live, now there's more ways in which to do so. So with that being said, this has been episode 28 of Industry 4.0, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.